Welcome, traveller. Sit down for a few minutes. The night is rainy anyways. Tonight I will tell you some things that perhaps you may not know about our beloved empire. You know, the empire is a vast land. One can safely say it is a conglomeration of individual and independent states, joined together by ties of culture, language, religion, and perhaps the most driving factor of all, the necessity of common survival against countless afflictions and terrors that hammer at our gates. As such, there are many stories and facts that surround our existence. Let's explore some of them, shall we? Everywhere in the world, in the deepest bowels of the earth, infecting the world itself like a ravenous disease, the vermin live. Skaven is their more common name. These rat men are well known to corrupt and taint everything they touch, as they have done so for thousands of years, and no race that breathes upon this world is safe from them, as they lurk right beneath all of us, waiting, biding their time. But despite this, the Empire simply refuses to officially acknowledge their mere existence, going as far as labelling would-be truth-sayers as heretics and mad men. The witch hunters enforce this, and they are always vigilant and ready to censure any who would voice out loud the existence of the Vermintide. But why do this? I still wonder. Well, there are many theories around this deliberate denial. It is a matter of fact that the giant rat men live beneath the cities of men. Cities as big as Nuln have hives of these creatures embedded in them, connecting to their expansive sewer system, using those pre-built tunnels and even more hidden passages to move around unseen and killing anybody who does come to see them. This is perhaps one of the reasons the very few who have actually seen them are quickly to be dispatched by those same rat men. I've heard they have assassins that can take out any target they set, no matter how well protected. I have never faced any of those creatures myself, nor do I want to. Anyways, we have known of Skaven corpses that wash on the rivers of the Empire, or that are simply left behind from any raids, but those are simply said to be a bizarre subspecies or mutation of beast men, or even twisted rats. An odd perversion of the regular mutations that afflict many creatures and humans across these lands. No one truly knows how many rat men are out there, but I can tell you, they are without number, and they are right there in the darkest places, waiting their moment to strike at us, always watching, always scheming. If the men of the Empire knew of this ever-present enemy that lurks right beneath us, I know that entire cities would succumb to despair and anarchy. The acknowledgement that we are already doomed would drive most men mad. The truth is perhaps too much to handle for us. But it was not always like this. In the year 1111 of the Imperial calendar, the Black Plague ravaged the Empire, going as far as killing 3/4 of the population and even the Emperor at the time, Boris Goldgather. Scholars never made this connection, but this was a calculated attack by the plague crafters of Clan Pestilence. Soon after the Black Plague had made its work, the warlord clans were unleashed onto the surface with the sole intent of ravaging and toppling the greatest human nation of the old world, and enslaving as many as possible. The Empire of Man was truly on the brink of annihilation during those times. But ultimately the Skaven failed. Count Mandred would lead a crusade with his own men and the united might of the remaining Elector Counts to drive the rat men out of the Empire. At the Battle of the Howling Hills in 1124 of the Imperial calendar, the Skaven were defeated and Mandred would later become the new emperor for his feats. But, as befits such vile creatures, their scheming never ceased, as the Council of 13 ordered that no Skaven ever waged open war against the Empire until the time was right. Many hundreds of years after that, and here we are, wondering where they have gone. Are they still truly there? Do the Skaven exist? At this point, the legends of the underground empire of rat men have become just that. Legends. Tales told to children to make them go to sleep at night or stop misbehaving, or else the rat men would come and snatch them from their beds. Now, it is well known that the Hellstorm rocket battery is one of the deadliest single pieces of artillery ever invented by mankind, even rivaling some of the inventions made by the skilled dwarfs of the mountains. But what is not so well known is that the master engineer behind it, Hermann Folkstein, was inspired by a fireworks display arranged by an emissary from Cathay on a diplomatic mission to Altdorf. After watching the spectacle of fireworks, the master engineer had the idea to adapt the Eastern technology into something useful in the many fields of battle the Empire waged war on. Its name also has a strange story behind it, and was allegedly inspired by a particularly vile storm of words spat out by the Count of Middenheim, Boris Todbringer, when he was almost hit by a rocket from an early prototype of the machine. Thus the name Hellstorm. Many engineers of the Empire can be found tinkering and experimenting within the Imperial Gunnery School in Nuln, and they constantly improve upon the internal designs and usages of the vast range of artillery at the Emperor's disposal. Day by day, they strive to perfect the art of war with the use of these deadly war machines. These Hellstorm rocket batteries are intended to be used against massive blocks of infantry, far from any friendly units to avoid friendly casualties. It is common knowledge and widely recommended that if the target is within a rough 25-yard radius, then under no circumstances should it actually be fired, for the risk of friendly fire is just too great. The talented engineers of the Empire are constantly working to improve the accuracy of the weapon. Perhaps someday they will be able to fire the war machine with full confidence that the missiles will hit their target, or the thing will not explode in their faces. But until then, better to take all safety measures into account. There is also the terrifying tale of how one of the most important cities of the Empire at the time fell to disaster in a single night. Once an important city in the province of Ostermark, Mordheim was completely destroyed when a comet fell straight into it. Located between the provinces of Ostermark and Sturland, Mordheim was cut in half by the River Ster. Commerce was strong there, and its veteran warriors kept the settlement safe from invasions by the creatures of the eastern mountains and beyond. The city of Mordheim was holding great fortunes and riches when a twin-tailed comet, the sign of the hero god Sigmar, first appeared crossing the skies. Many believed the sighting of the comet apprised Sigmar's return to unite men once more and lead them to glorious days. Within days of the sighting, hundreds of newcomers of all kinds arrived in the city to bear witness to Sigmar's supposed arrival. Many sought favour in the eyes of the god, while many simply took the opportunity to trade and do commerce. As the population grew massively, so did the plague of deceit, while greed and arrogance blurred the eyes of the masses. As days passed, corruption and anarchy strangled the city as poisonous vines climbing on the bark of a tree. the words of the few who foresaw the coming doom and blight by the wrath of Sigmar, as a punishment for the moral decay, were dismissed, and some of them were burned, tagged as heretics. But the truth dawned on all when the judgment of Sigmar, in the form of a comet, crashed into the city on the last night of the year. The ill-fated city was destroyed and burnt to the ground. Mordheim is now a haunted place, a damned set of ruins where only the wicked and desperate go. The ruins of the city are now home to many warbands and mutant creatures that seek to kill any other living thing and plunder the few warp stones that remain there. Only death awaits those who go to Mordheim. But if you are brave enough to venture there, we do have a video covering the tale of this city in more depth. Now, moving on. In 1124 of the Imperial calendar, the Emperor Mandred Skaven Slayer was killed by none other than the Skaven. The same Emperor that had banished them years before had his fate ruled by the Council of 13 in revenge for stopping them on their tracks. A single dispatched assassin from Clan Eshin claimed the life of Emperor Mandred. These foul assassins show extreme proficiency in sneaking into every fortress or chamber they set their sights on. They hide in every shadow, working silently in the darkness. They dispense death with brutal and uncanny accuracy before disappearing once more into the shadows, leaving their foe lifeless. The assassins of Clan Eshin are so impressive in their abilities and performance, it is supposed by some that they have supernatural powers that allow them to move extremely fast, climb smooth surfaces, and disguise themselves in shadow as though they were clothed in it. When the Emperor was killed, the Elector Counts could not agree upon a successor, and the Empire was then divided for a time into feuding states. To end this, I'll share with you a tale of horror and desperation. I was part of an Empire force that faced the might of the warriors of chaos in the field of battle. Vast, merciless, and darker than midnight was that army, and the mere sight of it struck fear into the hearts of even the bravest of us. Above the black-clad regiments whipped the banners of the Blood God, decorated with twisting runes that seemed to writhe as if alive. Cold steel glittered among their ranks, and they were led by their champions whose weapons screamed for blood. They marched towards us in full armour without tiring, without slowing. They beat great drums that made the earth shake as they marched. Arrows did not deter them. We prepared a shield wall and they smashed it aside as if the soldiers within it were nothing. The cavalry that charged them was crushed. No swordmaster could best even one of them in single combat. They shrugged off wounds that would have slain any mortal man in an eye blink. The skulls of our comrades they carried on their belts, and I still remember their war cry. Blood for the Blood God! Skulls for the throne of Khorne! Even as they died, they still chanted, drowning out all the screams of the dying and the blaring of our horns. Blood for the Blood God. And at the end of the day, only I survived. Buried under a mound of lifeless soldiers. These are the warriors of chaos. Tremble, O sun. Cry out your pain, O earth. For these are the enemies we must defeat if our world is to be saved.
On this channel, we are putting together narrative Total War cinematic battles and Warhammer lore videos. A special thank you goes to our Patreon supporters who help us in the making of more content. You can also join Patreon and earn extra perks while supporting the videos to come. Find the link in the description below. Make sure to subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.